If you're looking to move to Rochester in the near future, you've come to the right place. Here are 7 questions that I get asked almost all the time by people relocating just like you, and I'm going to give you the honest answers. Let's get into it. And just for a little bit of housekeeping before we get into it, my name is Anthony Hamilton with the Legacy Group at eXp Realty. And as much as I love making these videos for you on all things Rochester and Finger Lakes living, I would love even more to help you with those real estate needs. So whether you're moving in 9 days, 90 days, I'm happy you're here and I'd be happy to help. So reach out to that information on the bottom of the screen. I'm the guy that answers those texts, emails, and phone calls. Don't hesitate to reach out. And be sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video just like this one on all things eating, living, sleeping, breathing, playing, working in Rochester and the Finger Lakes region. And without further ado, let's get into it. The first question that I get asked as a local realtor here in the area from people just like you relocating is, number one is, what is the cost of living in Rochester, right? A lot of it is the Rochester and the Finger Lakes. So in this video, I'm going to cover kind of both of them and give you sort of general answers, but they're truthful nonetheless. So getting into this, the truth is the cost of living in New York, or in Rochester, New York, rather, is, you know, depending on the category, it's still cheaper than the national average. So compared to national average, housing is going to be about 2% lower than the national average. Utilities, 12% lower than the national average. Groceries, 2% lower than the national average. Transportation, 7% lower than the national average. And healthcare is 1% higher than the national average. That being said, we are home of Strong Memorial Hospital and Rochester General Hospital and so many great healthcare facilities around here that, you know, if I'm going to pay something, pay more for any one thing, in my opinion, it would be healthcare, and pray that you never need it, right? But if you do need it, it's there and it's amazing. So that being said, the average rent, if you were to rent a house in the area, you're probably looking around $1,800 at least to rent a house. That's probably a 2-bed, 2-bath, or a 2-bedroom, or 3-bedroom, 2-bath kind of thing. For an apartment, your average is going to be more along like the lines of $1,600 or so. And if you're looking to purchase a home in both Ontario or Monroe County, so the main 2 counties in the Rochester and Finger Lakes region, right, you're going to be looking to pay somewhere around $240,000 as the median, right? So that's going to be like your middle ground, move-in ready sort of house. You might have to do some cosmetic updates, especially now with how competitive things have gotten. It's not the end of the world. If you got a safe place that is going to be comfortable for you and your family to lay your heads and rest peacefully at night, then so be it. So getting into that, you can't talk about cost of living without talking about taxes, because we are one of the few states that has very high taxes, similarly to California. So everything included, all taxes included, right? We're going to be going on per $1,000 of home value on this. So Monroe County, you're looking at 38.2 for every 1,000. So on a $300,000 house, you're doing 300 times that 38.20, and your rough property taxes are going to be around $11,460 on a $300,000 house. Now that's give or take, depending on what specific school your kids are going to, or what school you're part of, and what specific town and city you're part of, as they do vary. But this is kind of the average amongst all the towns in the area. Moving on to Ontario County taxes. Ontario County is going to be significantly less, probably about 10 points less. So let me see. Ontario County, yep, so 29.2. All right, so if you go on that same $300,000 house, 300 times 29.2, $87.60 would be your taxes in Ontario County. So again, depending on the specific city and town that you're in and school district that you're in, that's going to vary a little bit, give or take maybe $1,000 or so. But that's far higher than many other places throughout the country. I know down in North Carolina, where my twin brother lives, $300,000 house, you're probably paying $2,000 in taxes. So, you know, where we are cheaper in overall cost of living here, property taxes will get you, and that will greatly impact the amount of house that you can afford. So just be ready for that. In the conversations with your loan officer, if you're getting a mortgage, the taxes will definitely matter when you're going to qualify or get a mortgage. So just keep that in mind. Moving on to question number 2 is the Rochester or Finger Lakes region a good place to raise a family? A lot of you guys are moving here with families and you're wondering, you know, hey, it needs to be safe. You know, there needs to be things to do. And, you know, especially for my kids, the schools have to have great programs, etc. So, yeah, overall, yes, it's a great place to raise a family. And, you know, I'm not telling you where to go. My personal opinion for like what I think, like what I like to do when I was a kid, and how I like to raise my kids, I would say the Finger Lakes might be better for that. Just because there's, you know, your crime is going to be lower in the Finger Lakes region. There's going to be a lot more land to be able to play outside and do things. But on the other side of that token is the Rochester region, even in the suburbs around Rochester. I mean, you have such great proximity to different things like the Strong Museum of Play, you know, art museums and the Lilac Festival and all sorts of festivals throughout the city, and, you know, Fairport Canal Days, and just like a bunch of festivals and stuff. Rochester is Festival City. So, you know, you've got great proximity and access to that kind of stuff. So it really depends. I guess my answer is always, it really depends on what you like doing as a family and what kind of things do you instill into your kids that, you know, makes each area a desirable place. So, you know, do you care about being able to go out and hike and do things outdoors in nature, in wilderness? Because if that's the case, then you should be going to the Finger Lakes region, because you have, you know, the Bristol Hills and, you know, the lakes and stuff, and that creates a great environment for hiking and being outdoors and doing that kind of thing. As well as in the wintertime, you have Bristol Mountain, a ski slope that, you know, is open for skiing and snowboarding, and you can snowshoe and cross-country ski and all sorts of things. So having proximity to that is amazing for kids. I know wintertime here, and I'll get into the weather later, but wintertime here, you know, it sucks, especially if you're not getting outdoors. And so for kids, you know, you'll notice this kind of seasonal depression type thing if they're not getting outdoors. And so one of the most important things you can do is get them to the mountain, get them skiing or snowboarding or, you know, snowmobiling or doing whatever outside in the wintertime, just to be outdoors year round, rather than just sitting like a hermit inside for the 6 months of winter that we get here, which can be, you know, miserable. So, you know, for that reason, I like the Finger Lakes better, but it's not this isn't necessarily a question of where should we go. It's just, is in general this place a good place for raising a family? So overall, I'd say yes. Now, safety-wise, you're going to have pockets. So if you guys reach out to me, I can send you the links for crime mapping and things like that. You can also do the research yourself on crime data throughout the city of Rochester and then kind of in the suburbs as well, because that stuff will play an important role in where you decide to move to. So if you want somewhere that's going to be like super safe, you need to do that research. Unfortunately, I can't really tell you in this video. I can direct you to certain resources. Like if you go to the City of Rochester police page, you can find the crime mapping, crime spotters. NeighborhoodScout.com is a good one. Niche.com is a good one. There's all sorts of resources that you can access that will tell you crime rates and specifically where these crimes are located. and where there's significant crime located, right? But unfortunately, I can't tell you this in this video because that would be steering and that's illegal. But, you know, there's crime everywhere. It's just, what type of crime are you most concerned about? Obviously, murders and rapes and serious crimes like that, that's a whole different story. So yeah, I mean, both places are generally safe. The Finger Lakes, just because of population, being that it's a less populated area, naturally you're going to have a little bit less crime. You're going to have less violent crime, maybe the same or slightly less property crime, but there's still property crime. Car break-ins, maybe house break-ins, things like that. It happens everywhere. So just keep that in mind. But overall, the Rochester and Finger Lakes region really emphasizes on a strong community feel. So there are lots of things for the families to go out and do, whether it's a festival or food trucks, or Seabreeze Amusement Park in Irondequoit, or Roseland Water Park in Canandaigua. There's all sorts of things, or the Strong Museum of Play, or whatever. There's all sorts of things that you can go out and do that makes this a great family-oriented community. So is it good for families? I would say 100% absolutely it is. Question number 3 that I get asked all the time is, what is the job market like? And this one's tough, so I'll tell you what are the largest sectors in the area, in the most growing sectors in the area, and that is healthcare, education, tourism, and remote work / like entrepreneurship, right? This area is big in entrepreneurship, which I love. That's what I do. Being in real estate, I take that upon myself to manage and own my own businesses. So that's super important to me, and there is a huge community for that. That being said, healthcare, we have some of the top tier healthcare facilities in the world, let alone the region, right? So, you know, there's lots of nurses and doctors and other healthcare professionals, healthcare assistants and things like that, whether that's in elderly in-home care or if that's in a hospital setting, whatever it is, it's a huge sector in this area. Education, we have some of the top universities in the area as well. St. John Fisher University, Nazareth College, RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology, University of Rochester. There's Finger Lakes Community College. There's all sorts of educational opportunities in the area. So if you're a professor or you do something where you work in a college or university, then you've got so many options here. It's just incredible. Remote work. So a lot of the time what people do here is they might work at a company in Rochester, Buffalo, or Syracuse, and maybe it's like a 1 day in office type thing per week. And if you can hear the weed whacker outside going, it's kind of annoying, so I apologize for any extra noise. But remote work, people will typically live in the Rochester area or the Finger Lakes region and work actually out of Syracuse or Buffalo, or even like places in Florida or just nationwide, right? It's great here because you get to live a lifestyle that is nature-based. And like I said, a lot of entrepreneurs here too. There's a lot of new school creatives out here with videography or photography businesses or event planning businesses. Weddings are just amazing here because there's so many different venues that are just based in nature. They have ponds and they have great views overlooking water or something, and there's a lot of barn type venues. And so event planners and caterers and things like that are super big around here, and they do very, very well for themselves. So that's something to consider. But then we also are home to places like Kodak or Xerox or L3 Harris and other defense contractors. And then Lockheed Martin is in Syracuse is just a short drive away. So there's so many different options that no matter what field you work in, you're gonna be able to find work here. What I will say, your biggest challenge is gonna be your entry-level jobs. It seems that most entry-level jobs in the area are gonna require like 4 years of experience or something, which is crazy because that negates the purpose of being entry-level. But they do. And normally it's like a master's degree in 4 years of experience or something like that. So it's a little bit odd, but you know, if you're already established in your line of work, then you'll be okay. If you're new, you might find it a little bit challenging. But it is what it is. So that's the job market. That's really what I can say. Being in real estate, I don't know necessarily the specifics of individual jobs, but I do know that it's a growing market for many things within that healthcare and education and remote work kind of sectors. So it is what it is. But if you'll be able to find something and get paid decently according to the cost of living of the area for your line of work. Up next is, how are the winters actually? That's a tough question because if you don't love winter, then you're not going to love it here, because we get winter roughly 6 to 7 months throughout the year. Like, we're in May, we're almost in June right now. I think it's May 23rd right now, and it's 44 degrees outside and raining. Which is why I really wanted to do an outdoor video, but haven't had the chance to all week. It's been pouring rain and cold. With the winters, they drag on. If you're not utilizing your time well by skiing or sledding or snowboarding or whatever, then it's gonna be brutal. As far as the snow goes, we don't get that much snow in comparison to places like Buffalo or Syracuse, but we get enough to make the road slick and to warrant snow pants and boots a lot of the time, or a winter coat. And that being said, in regards to driving in the wintertime, I get asked this a lot, is how is driving? How is the commute to work in the wintertime? And it's actually pretty good. I'm actually, this past winter, I was pretty impressed with how driving was. Anytime that we get a snowstorm or we're expecting quite a bit of snow, the towns and cities are out with the plows and salt trucks well in advance, and they are salting, plowing, and they're doing preventative maintenance, proactive maintenance, in order to prevent the roads from getting super bad during the winter. I know down south, if they get an inch of snow or just a dusting of snow, things shut down. We're not going to shut down here. It's very rare that kids get snow days at school, because it's we get snow. You're going to have to get used to it. If you're going to shut down every time that we get snow, then you're going to be shut down a majority of the year. So yeah, expect that the kids will go to school even on snowier days. And at the worst, it's going to be a delayed start, right? So you're going to have a school delay or something like that until they can get the roads plowed. Now, the one time where it does get bad is if the wind is in conjunction with a heavy snow. So if we get a heavy wind where it's super cold and bitter and snow, then yeah, it can get brutal. But most of the time here, what happens is it'll snow, and then the next day will warm up to about 35 or just under 40 degrees, and it'll melt, and then it'll freeze again overnight. And so we do get ice, right? We will see ice, black ice, and it's a challenge. You just got to take things slow and just be cautious as you're driving around or walking around, or else you will bust your ass. So if you go back a few videos to my Fairport vlog, you can hear me mention that quite a few times. I almost busted my ass. It gets slick. You just got to be expecting that, is all. Question number 5 that I get very often is, what towns or areas are the best for newcomers? And I can't, I got to be careful with steering here. I'm not telling anybody where to go. What we see most popular from people that are relocating here is the Canandaigua area, or Farmington, because taxes are cheaper in Farmington. We see a lot of Henrietta because taxes are cheaper in Henrietta. But then outside of that, we see places like Pittsford, because Pittsford is just beautiful. Everything is park-like, and it's great proximity to Rochester. But it has great schools. It's higher taxes, but it's also a more affluent area. So if you're somebody who's moving and you're a little bit more affluent, Pittsford might be the way to go. We see Victor a lot. Victor, New York is a hot spot for a lot of newcomers because the school is really good, according to niche.com, of course. The schools are good, but it's got great proximity to Canandaigua Lake, but then also Rochester. So, and also you have Eastview Mall in Victor. So you have a lot of shopping, and you have a lot of like urgent cares and basically like restaurants and everything that you're gonna need right there in Canandaigua and Victor area. But you know, those areas really are what we see is the most prevalent for people moving to the area. It's Canandaigua, Victor, Pittsford. Some people really like Mendon because it's a lot like Pittsford, but it's spread out. There's a lot more land and green space in Mendon, so a lot of people like that. But then, like I said, Henrietta for the taxes, Farmington for the taxes. So just, you know, keep in mind those areas. Those are all you know, what we would consider safe and affordable areas, especially for families. And, you know, that's kind of what we're seeing is drawing a lot of our people in. Question number 6 is, what is there to do for fun? And if I'm being honest here, most of our clients that we get relocating who are watching the channel or whatever, and they call us, they're moving here. Most of the time, they're not moving for fun. Of course, you want to have fun once you're in an area, but they're not moving necessarily for the lifestyle. And if they are moving for the lifestyle, it's because they enjoy the outdoors. And that's what I would say. What is there to do for fun? It's anything outdoors. So whether you're snowmobiling or four-wheeling or dirt biking or just riding a street bike or skateboarding or hiking, skiing, snowboarding, whatever, getting out on the boat, water skiing, anything that has to do with outdoors, you're gonna be able to do it here, and it's gonna be a great time. So that being said, up in the city limits of Rochester, you have a bunch of museums. You have the National Museum of Play. You have a bunch of art museums, and then you have Seabreeze Amusement Park up in Irondequoit, which is obviously it's an amusement park, so it's got roller coasters and water rides and things like that. So it's really cool. On top of some of the roller coasters there, you can see the view of Lake Ontario. It's literally right on Lake Ontario, so you've got perfect views of the lake, which is really cool, especially on summer days where the sky is clear. And then down toward Canandaigua, you have Roseland Water Park. So if your kids like water parks, you got the water park there. As well as Bristol Mountain, like I mentioned, for skiing and snowboarding. And then in the off season, you can hike Bristol Mountain too. So you got lots of things to do, but a majority of it's going to be outdoor stuff. We do have some indoor sport facilities, but we don't really have off-season sports. There are some travel leagues you'll have to spend money to be part of, but you know, things that like baseball, for example, you're not going to be playing that year round. That's going to be in the springtime when the weather is good. You just can't play baseball when there's snow on the ground. So, you know, like down south, you have some sports that are year round because the weather permits it. I know football and baseball and stuff are year round down there. You're not going to get that here. You might have to join an intramural league and pay for that, or a travel league or something and pay for that in order to get it here. But there are indoor training facilities, like turf facilities and stuff, within gyms and whatnot that you can go to and bring the kiddos to for fun. Additionally, there's YMCAs and there's other like play cafes and stuff for kids to do. There is Altitude Trampoline Park, so that's a really cool and fun thing for kids as well. There is like Dave & Buster's, same things you have other places like these chain kind of restaurants that have arcades and whatnot in them. But then for adults, you got breweries and wineries and you have restaurants. There's not like a ton for adults, and then there's not really a ton for teenagers if your teenager has grown out of wanting to go to the water park or the amusement park. It's like I said, it's going to be mostly outdoor stuff. And then last but not least, the question I think that we get the most is, how is the housing market, right? Naturally, we're real estate agents here, so that question comes up all the time. And particularly, how competitive is it? And my answer is always, it's extremely competitive. We are, I think, we teeter between the number 1 and number 2 most competitive real estate markets in the United States. And certainly if you niche that down by town, you're gonna get higher on that list, right? So Irondequoit, for example, is gonna be there. Pittsford is gonna be there. Fairport's gonna be there. Canandaigua is gonna be there on the list of the most competitive real estate markets in the nation. That being said, on any given property, it's right now it's kind of like a crapshoot because the market's all over the place. We just went through a week or two of a bunch of houses surviving and not selling during the delayed negotiations period. So we have a few processes here in the area that are a little bit unique to other areas. So what we do is we do a process called delayed negotiations. So that means when a house gets listed, say it gets listed on Monday, all offers will be reserved for the following Monday. So during that week, everybody gets in, sees the house. They have that showing period for a week or so, normally 5 to 7 days. On that last day, then all the offers come in at the same time. Within, if they're due at noon, all offers are in at noon. That agent will then sit down with that seller, review all the offers at the same exact time, then they'll choose their favorite one. And because of that process, we do, on the buy side, we do what are called escalation clauses. And so what this is this basically says we're going to offer $300,000 and escalate by $5,000 above and beyond the next highest offer up to a max purchase price of $350,000. So what that means is that if the next highest offer goes up to $330,000, well then you just got that house at $335,000 because of that escalation factor of $5,000 and your cap at $350,000. You just went over them by $5,000 to $335,000. So that's kind of what we do. It makes it super competitive. We're going to have 5 offers on any given house, and probably more than that. You might have 10 offers on any given house. And it's there's a few strategies here, again, that are unique to other parts of the country, like those 2 I just mentioned, but additionally, listing strategy. So when listing agents are pricing homes, they're listing them significantly below market value. What they are hoping for is 1 million eyeballs to come through the house and to get 15 offers, therefore increasing the chances of jacking up the purchase price on that home. And I've got my feelings about it, but it's basically a bait and switch kind of thing. So it's likely if you see a house that's listed at $250,000, it'll probably sell closer to $350,000. So just be expecting that. When we set up your search, I will give you my guidance on what we should be searching for. If your max budget is $400,000, maybe we look for homes within, $275,000 to $325,000 listing price. Because by the time you're done offering on that might bump up to $400,000, or it might bump up to $375,000. So, it's just strategy, and knowing the market is really going to help you be successful, just because it is so competitive. And just to throw another wrench in that, one thing that is done up here is what are called cash guarantees. So a cash guarantee for a buyer is for your more qualified buyers. You go to the bank and you go to get a mortgage, and they say you can qualify for a cash guarantee because you're very well qualified, you have good credit, you have good income, you have a good debt to income ratio, and therefore we, the bank, we can provide you with a mortgage, but we can also provide you a letter saying that if you fall out for whatever reason, the bank will then buy the house. Now, there is some red tape to some of this. There's different verbiage and stuff. So the bank obviously is not trying to buy the house. They want you to buy it. They're going to do everything that they can to protect themselves from having to buy a house. But most of the time they never do, because you're a super qualified buyer if you qualify for that. That being said, these cash guarantee programs are the gold standard for sellers. So, even over pure cash, like green money cash, because a lot of listing agents don't fully understand, but they think that every single time the bank will buy the house if the buyer falls out. That's not true. Like I said, the bank is going to do whatever they can to not buy the house. But these listing agents think that they will buy the house regardless. So what that means for you is if you have a cash guarantee, I mean, it's pretty solid. Now you still have to offer competitively. You can't just like offer asking price and get the house because you have a cash guarantee. It doesn't work that way. It's still money in the long run. So money is still deposited in numbers into the seller's bank account when everything is said and done. So whether that comes in a conventional mortgage, an FHA mortgage, a VA mortgage, or green money cash or a cash guarantee, it's still money. So you still have to be competitive and put your best foot forward, but having that cash guarantee program is going to set you up for success the best way possible. But like I said, that is kind of the gold standard. There are multiple programs that are offered to different people, and there's a good chance that you qualify for one. So if you're interested in something like that, get a hold of me because I have some great resources for you that can help reduce the amount of houses that we offer on and get rejected from. So I know everybody's trying to cut down their losses here. So that being said, it's super competitive. Just what I would say is lean on me, or if it's not me, lean on your agent, because they will know the market the best and they'll know the strategies that can get you under contract the fastest on the house that you desire the most. So that's really what we're looking for. That being said, guys, if you got anything from this video, please subscribe to the channel. That helps us grow and reach more people just like you. Hit that notification bell so you're notified every time we post a new video just like this. And again, as much as I love making these videos for you, I would love even more to help you with those real estate needs. So that number and that email, it's popping up on the bottom of your screen. I'm the guy that answers those text, emails, and phone calls. Whether you're moving in 9 days, 90 days, don't hesitate to reach out. And until the next video, guys, we'll talk soon. See ya. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.